This is CHSR 97.9 FM here in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. This is Python's Paradise, your film and music show, and this is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena. And folks, I love the Blues Brothers. Had Murphy Dunn on here back in January, and here we are finishing off April with the very talented drummer from the Blues Brothers. Folks, I give you Willie Hall. How do you do, Willie?
Good evening, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing great. I feel classed up talking to you. I think the Blues Brothers is the greatest movie to come out of Saturday Night Live.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, what a wonderful tribute to blues music and especially blues artists that movie was. I mean, no wonder it's held up so well as it has.
Yeah, it was quite a project, I tell you. I first saw John and Danny on Saturday Night Live. At that time, I didn't know them personally, but I liked the act, and I thought they were very talented guys. So when I was asked to be a part of it, man, you can imagine how happy I was.
Yeah, and I love that introductory to you. You're like, you're out, you're good, you have that money you owe us.
Yeah, we won't repeat that last part.
Do you miss?
Speaking of that last word, the MF word.
Yeah.
When the movie premiered here in Memphis.
Yeah.
My wife took my kids to see it. Okay. And my kids invited other kids in the neighborhood.
Okay.
So I think my son was maybe 8 or 9 years old. So he was so proud. My wife said he was so proud that his father was in a movie. And so, as you know, that's my first line where the use of the MF word is.
Yeah.
So when my wife said that, when I said my line, he said, my son said, ooh, he put his hands over his mouth like, ooh, no, he didn't say that. So initially, it was quite an embarrassment to him.
Well, I had Murphy Dunn on here back in January, and he told me there's a little story about why you're called Willie Too Big Hall.
Oh, that's another embarrassing moment. But when the guys in the band told John Belushi that story, because we were all sitting around the table during the Ramada Inn scene.
Yeah.
And John and Danny were trying to think of nicknames for everybody. So they managed to tell him that story about being in Japan. And and everybody at the table just fell out laughing. And John Belushi said, "That's it. That's his nickname. That's what we're going to use." He demanded that they use that, so that's what it ended up being.
Do you miss the Lamada room?
I miss the guys. Period, man. I miss them every day. I wish we could have did that act forever. It was such a great group of musicians, first of all.
Yeah.
Very talented men. And then that particular group was just so successful. So I know if God had planned it for us to be together, we could have gone to great heights.
And what a great group of guys as well. Like I really liked Blue Lou with the chicken wire comment.
And you know what? Now, being from the South, like I was born in Alabama.
Yep.
I've lived most of my life here in Memphis. But being from the South, you can appreciate that scene because it was very true. Isaac Hayes and a couple other people from Memphis used to tell me that there was a place right across the bridge from Memphis, which is called West Memphis, where that actually existed, where people actually had chicken wire around the stage, because one of the forms of appreciation in the South in those kind of places was to actually throw your beer or your ashtray or whatever you could find at the stage. I think it's crazy myself, but
Yeah.
it does, or it did exist.
Yeah, and I guess there's a couple people from the band that's no longer with us. I know Mr. Fabulous is gone.
I heard.
Yeah.
I didn't attend the funeral, but yeah, I heard about it.
I love his scene at the restaurant where you got John and Dan at that table and that family. That's
You know, it was so, and the family that was sitting next to them, that where the father was just thought that John and Danny were disgusting.
yeah.
There was a young woman there with long hair,
Okay.
sort of a blonde.
Mm-hmm.
That was Alan's fiance. That was Alan Rubin's fiance in that scene.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was great, man. We had a lot of fun, and it was really great to see John and Danny toss the food in each other's mouth like that. That was great.
One of the things I always liked is that little girl, her reaction shots to like her amusement at watching them toss the food, and then suddenly John Belushi turns around and goes, "How much for the little girl?" And she just makes this face where she pops up, almost jumps out of her skin. I think that is so funny every time I see that.
Yeah, you know, and that was a spoof for millionaires. You know, like if you had this Arab guy that was in town and he had billions of dollars. You know, and I'm quite sure I've heard that actually happens in certain countries. You know, you can buy people, wives and girlfriends and stuff like that. So that's what John was spoofing on, like he was some Arabian billionaire, and he wanted to buy the man's children. So I thought that was mighty clever.
Of course, it was Steve Joyner that connected me with Murphy and connected me with you. And Steve did tell me that you had a story to tell about you and Murphy. Ended up going on a little long road trip.
Yeah, man. It almost cost Murphy his job. What happened was we were filming the scene at the Ramada Inn, which was actually near the O'Hare Airport.
Okay.
And there used to be a Ramada Inn there in that location, but I heard that everything that was in that location was destroyed from an old plane crash back some years ago. And so that area had just rebuilt, which they had it was called the Armada Room in the movie, but actually it was a Holiday Inn hotel.
Okay.
So what happened was we were filming portions of that scene, and Murphy Dunn, who's a good friend of mine, I love Murphy.
Yep.
He asked me, he said, "Hey, man, you want to go smoke a joint?" I said, "Sure, man." He said, "We got a minute. You know, they're setting up for a scene." I said, "Sure, sounds great, man." So we jump in the Bluesmobile, the black and white car.
Okay.
And, you know, we want to get out of the area of any security or police or anything like that. So Murphy decides to jump on the freeway. Now, anybody knows that in a lot of the northern states, they're not really freeways. They're more like turnpikes.
Okay.
So not thinking, trying to get back, Murphy jumped on the turnpike.
Oh.
So we thought we'd go down maybe 1 or 2 miles, and then that'll give us enough time to finish the joint, turn around, and come back. Well, we weren't that fortunate. Got on the turnpike and not noticing until we got down about a mile or so, and the sign said the next exit, 25 miles. Wow. Oh, golly. So we looked up, and all of a sudden, he and I went, "Oh my God, no!" I mean, you couldn't get off the turnpike for 25 miles.
Oh.
So we had to go 25 down, turn around, come 25 back, go through the traffic, and get back to the set. So naturally, when we got back, we were pretty late, and John Landis was pretty angry. He was so upset till he wanted to fire Murphy.
Oh.
He knew he didn't say anything to me, but he did tell me, "Willie Hall, it's not your fault. So you weren't driving." He said Murphy was driving, so I fought him. But as it turned out, he wanted to fire Murphy, Don. But it wasn't. It was our fault because we should have been more noticeable, and so it seemed like Murphy was negligent, but he really wasn't. It wasn't anything that he wanted to do or tried to do. It just happened.
Yeah.
So we laughed about it way down the line, but during that next few days, it wasn't so funny.
I understand.
Because when we got back, man, it was almost an hour, and they were afraid for us. Where did they go? They didn't know where we went. We didn't have a cell phone. There was no phone in the car. We didn't let any of the other band members know where we were, where we were going. So it was kind of ugly.
Yeah. Well, I know that there was a lot of caution with Belushi on the set, too. I heard one story that somebody showed up on set to sell drugs or something to him, and one of the bandmates took his belt off and whipped the guy for it. Is there any truth to that?
Wait, say that again?
I heard a story that somebody showed up somewhere, either on set or somewhere, to sell drugs to John Belushi, and one of the bandmates took his belt off and laid a whipping on the drug dealer.
I'm not familiar with that story because it may have happened. I know John Landis made it a specialty with everybody saying that I don't care how much of your face is on film. If anybody's found selling or giving John any drugs, then you're automatically fired. He said, I'll recut every scene that you're in, and I don't care, he said. But so everybody kind of tiptoed around the set. But I do know that during the recording of Give Me Some Lovin', which was the single from the soundtrack, we were at Record Plant Studios, one of the Record Plant Studios owned by Jana Feliciano. And so they had brought in a drug team and swept the studio thinking that, something may be hid there. And they didn't find anything. But right in the middle of one of the vocal takes, the band had recorded the track, and then John was there putting his vocals on, but he was real irritable that day. And nothing seemed to go right for him, and he was kind of chopping everybody up and, just real agitated.
Okay.
And so he said, I got to use the bathroom. Threw the headsets down. Said, I got to use the bathroom. And he went in the bathroom, and boy, when he come out of the bathroom, man, he was just elated. He was a different guy. And so, after he came out of the bathroom and tried to do a vocal take, he got frustrated and just threw the headphones down and went and jumped in a limousine and left. Didn't tell anybody anything. So what they did, this prompted everybody to do another sweep because I guess because everybody knew that, knew the symptoms. And so once they swept the bathroom, they come to find out that somebody had planted some drugs under the bottom of the toilet. And so I guess he had his own people to come in there and plant the stuff where he wanted it planted, I guess now. Don't quote me on that part, but that did happen during that recording session.
That's unfortunate. And John, what a loss that was, I wonder what he'd be doing today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've often wondered, what he'd be doing today, especially when I see films with his brother James in it,
Yep.
and yeah, I wonder about John. But John, even though John was who he is, he's no different than any average person that's misfortunate enough to die from a drug overdose.
Yeah.
You have common people, as we call them. You got River Phoenix. You got so many people, man, with great careers and great lives, But you never know what's going on inside a person. As the old saying, if you walk a mile in my shoes, you can understand what I'm going through. To some people, drugs are recreational, and to some people, drugs are a way of life. It's a way of coping with with things that we go through, things we understand or things that we don't understand about ourselves. So I never look down on a person with an addiction, no matter what it is, because it is a disease. And a lot of times it's a mental disease, which eventually turns into a physical disease.
Yeah.
So it's just another rough turn in life.
There was a lot of great blues talent in that movie. I mean, you had Calloway singing Minnie the Moocher. You had you had James Brown. You had Ray Charles. You had Laretha Franklin, John Lee Hooker. Oh, so many great ones. Do you have any memories, any stories of working with them?
Oh man, just appreciative stories. I appreciate it because as I'm a child compared to some of those people, age-wise.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up listening to that music. It was inspirational. And Aretha Franklin is still the godmother of my youngest son. And Ray Charles, I've always admired. John Lee Hooker is one of the original authentic real blues singers.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't share any personal stories with them. Usually when we were on the set with them, like John Lee Hooker's music was recorded somewhere else.
Okay.
We did actually record with Aretha in the studio, with Ray Charles in the studio, and with Calloway.
Okay.
But so Aretha was perfect. She comes in the studio dressed like she's doing house chores. She's got these little slides on her feet, some hot pink shorts on, and a halter top, and man, just looking like anybody's sister. And then she sits at that piano, man, and just blows everybody away. Ray Charles comes in the studio. He's happy-go-lucky.
Mm-hmm.
They said at the time he came that he wasn't on drugs. That he was clean. But I know he made a few trips to the bathroom. Okay. But I understand. How that is. Your kidneys, and you're drinking a lot of liquids. But everybody kind of figured maybe he may be doing a little taste, as he said in the movie. Get a little taste. No, that was what's his name that did the movie Ray? Jamie Foxx.
Oh, Jamie Foxx, yeah.
When he told he told his wife, she told him he got to stop doing drugs. He said, "Ain't nothing wrong with a little taste, a little taste every now and then." Well, anyway, so everybody thought Ray Charles was still having a taste every time he went to the bathroom, but there was no proof of it. And other than that, I don't have any personal stories about any of the artists that were featured in the movie. Now, you're talking about a group of artists. There's really a heavy roster of artists in the second movie, man. We had some real, all the greats were in the second one. That
Yeah.
was fun.
You
Yeah.
had some lot of great cameos in that original movie. Like we unfortunately just lost Carrie Fisher, who of course was
Yeah, man.
out to
Yeah.
get Belushi all the way.
Yeah. That was very. That was. That was a very different kind of a story. The death of her and her mom, like that. But I have heard those kind of things happening with a married couple. After being married for so long,
Mm-hmm.
if one, the husband or the wife passes, then it's not long that the other will pass too from grief.
Yeah.
I know grief is very, very strong. You have to really you actually when a person goes through a grieving process, they should actually be monitored because I had an incident in my life recently in the
Yeah.
last 6 months with the separation of my wife who had a stroke,
Mm-hmm.
and we were separated for the last 6 months, and I didn't know if I could carry on without her. I had been her caregiver for the last 4 or 5 years, and she was suddenly taken from me, and it just I tell you, I cried, and it hurt me so bad. And I'll let you know a little secret. One thing that I found out, there is a thin line between sanity and insanity.
Mm-hmm.
So when people go around mocking other people and calling them insane, well, you have to be careful about that because I do know personally that you can be grief-stricken by some incident, and it can take you over.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I know that personally.
Yeah. I've experienced that too, so I certainly understand. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else we lost from that film too is John Candy. Do
Yeah,
you remember him?
yeah. And there were other people other than the artists that we lost too.
Okay.
There were some people that were associated with the crew. Guys that would pick this up and pick that up and
Mm-hmm.
go get this and go get that. A lot of guys we lost, unfortunately, immediately after the movie premiered. So yeah, that was a great loss all the way around.
Yeah, a lot of great talent. How do you feel all these years later with the Blues Brothers still being as popular as it is?
Well, excuse me, I was eating a sandwich.
That's okay.
I I feel blessed, that to have been a part of that. I tell you, it's been almost 40 years and or more,
Mm-hmm.
and I still meet people today that are just overwhelmed by that movie.
Yep.
They love that movie. And me here being in the South with the loss of Duck Dunn, Steve Cropper and I are the only two from the South, that people will actually have hands-on with, and a lot of times when they meet me, they can't believe, that I actually exist. Most of the other guys are either living in the Northeast, or the West. I think Steve Cropper now resides in Nashville,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm the closest thing to anybody in the southeastern region. And people are just overwhelmed with that movie. I was here at the nursing home visiting my wife, and I had a copy of both movies. A guy named Mark Caldwell, who lives here, he gave me a copy of both movies. So some of the patients were in the dining room, and I went in and I put the movie on. Some of the people here recognize that I was in the movie, but the majority of them here don't even know it. So I just put it on, sat back, and there was a person here visiting one of the patients.
Mm-hmm.
She looked up when the movie was introduced, and she said, "Oh, the Blues Brothers! Oh, I love that movie." And this lady was around my age, in her mid-60s. And that was the first thing came out of her mouth. She said, "Oh, the Blues Brothers, I love that movie." And I'm sitting there. I didn't say anything to her. Nobody told her he's in it. But it was overwhelming just to know, man, people love that movie. They love that act. The Blues Brothers are like the Beatles.
Yep.
Seriously, man.
I was going to say, what? Okay.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say Blues Brothers 2000, when that came out, I was wondering, that movie did not do well at the box office, and I'm wondering if it was a mistake for them not to wait and try to bring James Belushi in as kind of like, I wouldn't say so much a replacement for John Belushi, but maybe it might have worked a little better had they got Jim in. Would you agree?
Well, again, excuse me, I'm eating.
That's okay.
From what I was told, that role of Blues Brothers 2000 was offered to James.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody didn't get along with somebody, and I heard that James was difficult to work with. So I think whatever they did had to be done at that time, and I think it worked. They couldn't get James. I knew it wasn't a case of money, because I believe they would have paid him whatever it was he asked for. But from what I understood, it wasn't the money issue.
Okay.
It was an issue about getting along with him.
Oh, okay.
I heard he was real arrogant and hard to get along with. I know he and I met a couple of times, and I found this to be true. He wasn't a nice person to me, so.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, so I don't think of him one way or another. But I heard that was the case as far as involving him in the movie.
Yeah. And, of course, Dan Aykroyd was here about 10 years ago signing his wine bottles, and I did a picture with him. He signed my Blues Brothers DVD, which was a pretty cool experience. But, I love this movie. I think as far as Saturday Night Live goes, I think The Blues Brothers, to me, is the greatest movie to ever come out of Saturday Night Live. I will argue that point with anybody, Yeah. Great soundtrack album, and you've only been in like a handful of movies, but this one here, I think is going to be the one that really cements you into generations to come, and that's something to be proud of.
Yeah, I agree with you. Most of the stuff that I did was a spinoff because of the Blues Brothers movie. Now, prior to the Blues Brothers movie involvement, I was Isaac Hayes' personal drummer.
Okay.
For about 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
From 1969 to 1995.
Okay.
And I had been seen in a couple of his movies, like background in the band.
Mm-hmm.
And had done all the soundtracks to the movies that he had been involved in.
Okay.
So that was my only movie connection prior to the Blues Brothers. But then once we did the Blues Brothers, there were other offers to, I want this guy in the movie with us. I think I think that was great. And so like the involvement in Soul Men, like the involvement in Hustle and Flow, like the involvement, there's another one I can't think of.
Black Snake Moan?
I'm sorry?
Black Snake Moan?
Black Snake Moan.
Yeah. Yeah.
And which Craig Brewer is a friend of ours. He's a great guy. Yeah. And right now I'm being involved in this Muck Sticky movie.
Okay.
And so we're filming as we speak. As a matter of fact, we're the next night of filming is this coming Monday, which will be the 1st of May. So it's still happening, but it's all due to the involvement and the recognition from the Blues Brothers venture.
Yeah. Well, well, you know what? It has been such an honor having you on here, and you playing the drums in that movie. You still get your costume from that movie?
No, man, I don't. You know, I don't even have I just got a copy of the movie. You know, I unfortunately don't have photos, pictures, records, none of that. You know, these kind of things, if you don't keep them under lock and key, they'll get away from you. Either fans or friends will steal them, or I had one guy tell me about all my photos in my photo album. He said, "Hey, man, let me use these. I want to make copies of them. I'll get them back to you. I haven't seen them since." And he passed, and then he passed on me. So I don't have anything except one copy of Blues Brothers and one copy of Blues Brothers 2000. Everything else has gotten away from me.
Wow, you got them on.
I mean, now my son who had some success as a rapper, his name was Patrick. His name is Patrick Hall, and back in the day, he went as artist Gangster Pat.
Okay.
He was one of the first gangster rappers from Memphis. But anyway, he's managed to save a lot of memorabilia that I'm associated with. You know, he's got some photos, he's got contracts, like old recording contracts. He's got more stuff than I've managed to save. He's got more of my stuff, so he became a collector of my memorabilia. So there is stuff, but he has it. I don't have anything.
You didn't even get to keep your red Labada room outfit either, huh?
No, you know what? What was strange, after we finished the second movie,
yeah,
somebody from the prop department called me and offered to sell me my outfit from the ballroom with Calloway.
Okay.
And later on, I found out that they weren't supposed to ask me for money for that. If anything, they should have given it to me. So this person called me and said that all the rest of the band was purchasing their outfit, and they asked me if I wanted to purchase mine. I said, "No, I'm not going to pay for my uniform." So I would have had all of that. But you know what? I wasn't thinking about that during the time. I should have saved all of that and donated it to the Rock and Roll Museum or the Blues Museum, which I did donate my first gold record.
Okay.
To the Blues Museum here in Memphis. But I mean, you know, things happen so fast, and I guess a lot of times you never think things are going to end, you know, when they're going so smooth. I didn't have a manager during that time, so I just didn't think to keep up with that stuff.
Here's a question for you. What was your favorite scene to shoot in the movie?
Oh God, I never thought of it.
Because that movie looked like a blast.
I would imagine the scene with Calloway.
Oh yeah, that was a great set too.
You know, John Landis, despite what anybody thinks or says, I think he was a great director.
Yep. With
the techniques and form, and how he managed to. Okay, so we did the scene with Cab. Okay, we were dressed in our regular garb. And when Cab said, "My God, where are they?" So everybody had their regular clothes on. Then all of a sudden he said, "Hit it." And then, boom, we've got the ballroom outfits on. And then as soon as we finished Minute the Moocher, boom, we were back to our own clothes. So that's sort of a little magical touch that he.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah, that was beautiful, man. With no explanation, it just happened. And so it makes you go, wow.
And what a magical moment too, and it really highlights his performance strutting across the stage. And you guys, that was just a great set. The black and the white, that was just fantastic to look at.
Wasn't that beautiful? That was really beautiful. And you know what? That could very well be my most memorable moment about the movie, because Calloway was the Michael Jackson of his time.
Oh yeah.
And that was a real honor. You know, like Aretha and Ray and John Lee Hooker and all of us, you know, we were the second generation of good entertainers.
Mm-hmm.
They were. But when we go back before Aretha and the rest of us, there was Calloway. And during that time, for a black man who was not really he was not really black in color, but you know, he had the wavy hair, he had the light tone skin,
mm-hmm.
and he did the splits and he danced his butt off. Hey man, that's the highlight of the whole movie right there.
And he had a lot of class.
Oh, he was Mr. Class. Can you imagine what he went through coming up during that era?
I could imagine.
You know, I heard that, you know, he had a lot of trouble. He even got jumped on and beat up a couple of times because, you know, the white girls or women, they loved him.
Yeah.
And they would approach him. And I heard that, you know, the entities didn't like that. So you can imagine what he went through, man, back in the day. That was before integration, you know, a lot of integrated events. So my hat's off to him. You know, his daughter accompanied him there. She took care of him during the filming. But that's the highlight there.
And what a great highlight. That was just fantastic.
It was.
Yeah. Well, I know that I don't want to keep you too much longer because I know you're very, very busy, and I know your wife really appreciates everything you do for her, and I certainly appreciate you coming on to this show and allowing me the honor and privilege of speaking with you. Like I said, this is a great movie, and what an honor to talk to you, Willie.
Hey, I feel the same way, Greg. I appreciate your injection. I appreciate you having me on, and I want to say to all the fans, keep bluesing on. Keep bluesing on. Like they used to say, keep rocking on. Keep bluesing on.
Before you go, huh?
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, before you go, would you do me the honor of doing a plug for my show?
Sure, man. What do I have to say?
Just state your name and say you're listening to, my name, of course, is Greg Gilbert.
Mm-hmm.
And my show is called Python's Paradise, Python like the snake.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm from New Brunswick, Canada.
Okay. All right. Let me see if I can get all that down in my mind now.
Yeah, you just state your name. My name's
what's the Python part again?
Python's Paradise, like the snake.
Paradise.
Yeah, that's my DJ name is
From
Python. Yeah.
New Brunswick,
Canada.
New Brunswick, Canada. Okay, let's try it, man. I may stumble a couple times, but you can edit.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot.
Hello, this is Willie Hall, drummer for the Blues Brothers, and you're listening to Greg. Okay, let me do it again.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Hello, this is Willie Hall, drummer with the Blues Brothers. I'm here with Greg Gilbert, and you're listening to Python Paradise from New Brunswick. Okay, I almost got it, Greg.
You almost got her.
Okay, New Brunswick.
Canada, yeah.
New Brunswick, Canada. Okay.
Okay.
One more time. Ready?
Yep, go for it.
Hello, this is Willie Hall, drummer for the Blues Brothers. I'm here with Greg Gilbert, listening to Python Paradise from New Brunswick, Canada.
Thank you so much, Willie Hall, for the honor.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
What a blessing it was to speak to you today.
Hey, man, I feel the same way, Greg, and I hope everything goes well.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and like I said, I'll send you an ad on Facebook, and like I said, it's going to be a few months for this to go out, so I just ask for your patience. But
Okay.
when it does, I will definitely send you the link. But it will be probably a good 6 or 8 months because I got several interviews on the go. But it will definitely go out. And when I
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right, my brother. Well, look, if there's anything else, I can do, you have the numbers. Keep them, and just give me a call anytime.
I will do that.
Great.
Okay.
It's been a pleasure, Greg.
God bless you, Willie.
All right, God bless you too, brother, and we'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye. Yeah, bye.